And I thought, yeah, what are the steps to accept your child? You know, we have to deal with so much more. And it is the first step, in my opinion, to go, okay, I'm going to have to deal with something now. And it's not just like 5 seconds fix. This is a long-term, life-changing way of looking at this, but it's going to have a good result. Would you agree with me, John?
Yeah, absolutely. But remember, you're a server Y, so everything you do is 7 steps. What's the perspective you're coming in on? And you're like, well, I'm going to have 7. So
It's not that I wanted 7, but I wanted to explain all the intangible drivers. Yeah. But the first step is like to grieve the normal pregnancy, because after all, we had the scan. I'm like, well, you just have to accept that they are that intangible driver. So you have to accept it. So we are trying to work out how many steps. Okay, first breathe. Okay, calm yourself down so you don't react. Makes sense. 2, remember your child's intangible driver. Correct. 3, okay, I think we have to say, what thought process is this child in now? That's one of the questions to ask ourselves, right? Are they triggering? Wait 90 seconds. You know, it's like a process
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Are they in 160? Refer to the intangible driver chart, okay? Are they in the 80th thought process? Well, that's easy. Just have a conversation around questioning, you know, like what is it they're trying to do? What is it you're trying to achieve and all that stuff? Now, when it comes to flow, I guess you're just getting on, you're having a great time, and you're working together, yeah, with the child, and you have that understanding with each other.
You know, on that chart I gave you, it's everybody's uniqueness comes through the 4 thought processes. So going back, I agree with you that, you know, I say step 1 is what's their uniqueness. Step 2 is what thought process they're in. When we show the chart to people, especially kids in school, they suddenly realize, oh, I'm not getting away with anything because I do look different depending on what thought process I'm in. You know, so Alex is an administrator. When he's in flow as an administrator, he doesn't move until he's sure no one gets hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a real like administrator in flow looks like. Is they don't move anybody. We're all going to wait until we're sure no one gets hurt. You know, an administrator at 80, administrator and that's focused, he's your coach.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to move you to the detriment of everybody else. I'm going to help you be better than everybody else are. That's what and then an administrator at 160, this drifting around, he's going to go move somebody for the benefit of everybody else. So he's going to walk up to you and go, sorry, it'd be better if you left the group. We'd all be happier. Get out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what administrator looks like when they're like that. And then at 320, just, you know, the devil, basically, they're just like, how can I just cause all these people to fight with each other? How can I send this person over here? And that's what happens in the schools is it takes the teachers half a year to figure out who the administrator is. When we get called in the second half of the year to a classroom because there's a problem, it's because the teacher realized, you know, all those kids are fighting over there. It's because of that kid over there.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
took me half a year to figure out that every time there's a fight over here for half a year, I'd go in there and I could never figure out who caused it. And now I'm realizing that the person who caused it is over there, sending people over to cause all this problem. That's administrative destructive. And so that's, you know, when you look at Alex is in one of those 4 modes as an administrator.
I love what we just did right now. Can we do that for the other 3 weird intangible drivers? What would an exhorted
Weird intangible drivers? I would like to know what the definition of weird intangible drivers is.
what normal people call square peg or half round and half
Oh yeah.
something they don't understand. What we fear, we judge, right? So going back to explain how what I did with the butterfly worked. Can I explain this? How technical can I get? So my understanding is we have to reprogram 3 parts of the brain to do this getting over whatever's bothering you, seeing it
I
different.
say PTSD, but yeah.
Yeah. So that's what happened to Alex in a way, isn't it? When he heard my mum talk to me like that, and now he hates her and he can't deal with it and he's like off. So
Well, let's go the easiest way first. The first one is the triggering.
mm-hmm.
And you know this cold already is rehearsal.
Yeah.
And when I help people, that's the first one I want to help them with because otherwise they may not show up next week.
Mm-hmm.
So I meet with them if I don't teach them how to handle their trigger, they can end up in jail or dead
Mhm.
in the next week because something happens and they punch somebody or they run or whatever. So the first area is the amygdala, and it's you rehearse it because it's the thing that triggers in fight or flight and all that. And you already do that really well, help people with that. So that's the easy one to knock out.
So understand it's not that. Two, you're going to do this. Tell yourself what you're going to do next time this happens. Those are the steps, correct?
Yeah, rehearse, figure out what's causing you to trigger, and then rehearse another option. You know, walk away, ask a question, ask for help.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Then the second area that I like to do is the logical one, which is what happens is people have a bad emotion attached to something.
And which part of the brain is this connected to now?
That's the conscious brain.
So that's
conscious
the conscious brain. Can we have the technical name, please?
Well, it's the dendrites. What's happening is someone uses a word, and that word, all of a sudden my emotion just changes. Or I have a memory. You could say memory, conscious memories. The story I like to tell with this is that a woman gets she gets assaulted, she gets raped.
Mm-hmm.
So that event's in her brain, and she's got a negative emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So the way to fix this is to tell it to somebody who mirrors back a less negative emotion. So if she tells her mom, and then her mom goes, well, why do you dress, you dress like a whore, you deserve to get raped. She has a more negative emotion, and she'll probably never tell that story to anybody. So when people say, well, if this woman, if she really got assaulted by a guy, why did she wait 20 years? Because she had a negative emotion to it. And then when she told people, the negative emotion got worse, and now you don't want to tell it at all. And I'll say this to people: let's talk about something that gives you a negative emotion. Let's see how you handle it. Mm-hmm. What you do is, and people do this in bars all the time. This, of the three things, the general public knows how to deal with this third one the best. Is you sit in a bar, you have a drink, and someone tells you their story, And so for the rape thing, is someone says, I was raped. I'm sorry to hear that. That shouldn't have happened to you. You didn't deserve that. Mm-hmm. And now the emotion in their brain becomes less negative. They're never going to feel great about it. Mm-hmm. But the emotion feels less negative, and now they're more likely to talk. So whenever you see somebody give a talk to kids or a group about some trouble, drug addiction they had, they give that talk, and then people, handle it well. And then they always say this at the end. People go, thank you for sharing. They go, no, thank you, because the more I share this, the easier it is for me to share it. Yes. The more you share this traumatic thing with people who know how to handle it, you are pulling this memory out of your brain, sharing it with these people, and then the memory with these people, this experience goes back into your brain. Mm-hmm. And now there's a less negative emotion. This is how you make people smarter. Mm-hmm. So what happens is every time you take a memory out, you cannot put it back exactly the same way with the same facts and the same exact emotion. The facts are going to get stronger or weaker, and the emotion is going to get stronger or weaker. So the key to making kids smart is to get them to teach. I've always said this, and Akoff said it, is when I teach something to you, if you try to memorize it, you're only going to get 25% of it. That's why they say you have to repeat it 3 times. Mm-hmm. But if I teach something to you and you teach it to someone else, you will get all of it.
Yeah, that's that.
But really, that's how the brain works. So the second area is the conscious brain. It's your memory. And if you share it with somebody who mirrors a less negative emotion, so that's why it's like I tell people, you don't have to share a story with anybody. You should share your story.
That's the frontal lobe, isn't it? When you talk about the logical part, this 10% of the brain. What do we call that? What do we call that, John? What's
the conscious brain?
What's the other weird name for it? What's the technical name for it?
The prefrontal cortex.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay.
Yeah, but
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So that's more
And then
clear.
the third part,
Justin, yeah.
the third part's the hardest one. That's the unconscious brain. That's 90% of your brain. You cannot go into your unconscious brain. You have to wait to respond. So if you see someone who's got PTSD, you say something and they take off running or they punch you. That's the amygdala. You say something and they start sharing and they are a little ramped up, and then they start sharing and they're a little more ramped up, then they start sharing and then they're getting a little out of control, then they start, you watch them go like this. So amygdala is 0 to 100 and they're ramped up. Conscious brain is a gradual ramping up because every time they go from tree to tree, they're building this emotion. The unconscious is when they can't explain it. You're sharing and they're sitting there going, and you're like, are you okay? Like, yeah, I mean, no, I mean, I'm feeling tweaky. Why? I don't know. So your unconscious, so what's happening is your unconscious is starting, is looking at situations that you're hearing and starting to put things together. And then it's starting to make you uneasy or frustrated or anxious. And those are all unconscious feelings. And so for those, what you have to do is you have to play charades. Because the unconscious knows what the problem is. So you have to feel it. You have to say, does this have something to do with your work or your home? And then they'll go, my work. Because the unconscious will tell them it was work. And then they'll go, okay, does this have something to do with the people you report to or the people you work, equal with?
Yeah.
One or two more questions, all of a sudden they go, I feel like my boss, I feel like I'm going to get fired. And that's like, and then just, like in trades, like, I feel like I'm going to get fired. They like when you get the right answers, but you have to give them you have to put words to their feelings. So that's how you fix unconscious issues, is words of feelings. And that's my favorite thing to do. A lot of times people call me up and they're going, John, I just feel tweaky. I feel uneasy. And then I play 20 questions with them or charades until we hit the thing. And then they go, that's it. And then they can get settled. But notice, if you don't fix all three parts of the brain, it's like you did nothing. You might fix the triggering with someone who has PTSD, but if they have the other two areas, they're still going to go off and someone's going to go, you didn't help them at all.
So we have to find out the root cause, basically, is sort of line. And that's
repair all three areas, three different ways.
Okay, so I'll share all that with Justin. Anyways, it's lovely to catch up with you.
Yeah, it was good seeing you again.
Yeah, and well, good luck with the rest of today. What have you got planned apart from this meeting? You got to go now.
Yeah, I got a bunch of meetings, so Mondays have gotten packed for me. So thank you so much for meeting.
No, thank you. It was lovely catching up and giving me the opportunity to share. Okay, take care. Thank you, John. Bye-bye.